beautiful Batsheva. We are so excited that you're joining us today on the Wellness Cowboys. I feel like we've been wanting to chat with you for a little while. I feel like you have a very interesting story, which we'll definitely get into, but you're also one of the people that I thought would never actually leave New York.
I know.
And you made the move to Miami, and as much as I'm upset you're no longer in the city, I'm very happy to see you thriving over there. So how's it been? Give us a little update.
Thank you. Oh my God, wait, where should I look? Like
wherever you want.
straight around. Okay.
It's kind of like a
Love
tennis match.
it. Love it. Okay. I absolutely love Miami. I'm still getting used to saying that I live there. I went on a brand trip last week, and I was flying from Miami, and I met this girl. And I met this girl, like in the same like shuttle back to the hotel, and she was like, "Where are you guys coming from?" I'm like, "New York." And my friend next to me was like, "We're coming from Miami. Like, you live in Miami now." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But love, so happy I made the move. I feel like a visitor coming back here, and it's kind of nice.
Yeah, I love that.
And I'm wearing I have horses on me right now in honor of the Wellness Cowboys. I just wanted to point it out.
So cute.
You're trying to find yourself a cowboy.
I am someone who will super it and what is it, like
The lasso?
Yeah.
So good.
Snatch me up.
How is single life going in Miami? And are there any differences between New York and Miami?
Yes. I think that Miami, like, the fuckboys are way more, like, apparent. Like, you know who they are. They, like, they're very flashy in your face. They're not trying to, like, hide it. Like, New York, you don't always know.
They're just owning the fact that they're a
They
fuckboy.
just own it. So, like, I kind of like that because then I can, like, hang out with them, but I know that there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no, like, you know, you're not sure. They let you know. Peter Pan syndrome is like huge. Nobody wants to grow up. All the guys.
That's everywhere.
That's
though.
everywhere. But I feel like Miami, at least in Miami, I see it more.
Yes,
but I guess New York,
definitely.
any large city, New York, Miami, LA, Peter Pan syndrome is huge. And I've said that to some guys, and they're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "You never want to grow up." And they're like, "Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that sounds about right."
They want to stay boys. Yeah, we've got a few of those in our group.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you know.
And they know what that means. You know,
They-
they're just,
Like, what?
Me?
Haven't
no,
heard
no.
No.
But I think I like the dating culture in that, like, every date is official. Like, I'm picked up, I'm taking a dinner. There's no, like, let's meet for a drink, let's grab a drink. It's, like, less casual. But I think because I'm dating intentionally, I like that. So I'm like, if you're not picking me up and taking me to dinner, then you're obviously not serious. And
Yeah, I
no,
mean,
thank you.
I feel like you're kind of the queen of dating right now. We talk about it amongst our group where I feel like I would love to take a little page out of your book in the sense of how you approach dating. And we have seen you, we were talking about this the other day, where we were at a pub one day and you wrote down your number and your name on a piece of paper and you walked around the pub to find who you thought was the cutest boy and just walked up and casually slipped him the note.
Good
And it
times.
worked. You went on a date with him. How did you gain the confidence to just approach men after your background growing up? And we'll get into that. But how have you created that confidence to just go and be like you?
I think I have my moments. It's when I'm in my, like, fuck girl, I don't give a fuck anything era, I will do anything. Because I'm like, it's like going to an event. I have a lot of practice with, like, putting yourself in a situation where you maybe don't know people. So what I would do is, like, I would always walk up to someone and in my mind tell myself, like, if they're not nice and they don't want to talk to me, like, their loss.
Yeah.
So kind of like approaching that with going over to someone, like making eye contact or giving them the opportunity to come and text you or ask you out. And if they don't reach out, then like they don't know you. It's not
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah.
So taking away a little bit of the pressure. My new thing now is I wave.
Okay. Little eye contact.
Yeah,
a
little eye
wave.
contact. But eye contact I don't think is enough anymore. It used to be like you make eye contact and you look away. Now they need to be ushered.
Yeah.
They need to know that they can approach.
I've definitely had a guy say that. There was one guy that I was out with some friends and one of my girlfriend said, "Oh, that guy's cute," and she like waved at him, and it turns out that he was in the Bachelor Nation community, and he thought she was a fan. But eventually, long story short, she got them to come over, and he was like, all you had to do is be like, come here. And he's like, that's a sexy thing a girl can do, is just be like, come here.
All right.
But she was like full wave girl, like, hi, not knowing who he was. So that's always stuck with me. Still yet to do it.
Okay,
But
I dare you.
I need to. But one thing that I personally struggle with, and lately have been, is how do you kindly let a guy know that you're no longer interested in dating?
Yeah.
What's
That's
your
always
go-to?
fun. I think I've actually had moments like a few dates I went on in Miami, I actually told the people on the date, like, this is not going to go anywhere.
I could never. Well, no, I have.
If they're asking, like, intense questions and, like, asking me straight up, like, do you think this would be compatible? I'm like, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'm happy to be friends. Like,
I
you
think it's
seem
refreshing.
cool.
I have guy friends tell me as well, it's refreshing for a girl to just be open and honest with how they're feeling and where they're at, instead of ghosting or, I guess, playing games or leaving them not knowing what's going on. I think girls, we want that from guys, but I think some guys don't even get that from the girls. So
I agree
But
with
I think
that.
also, to your exact point, it's when you go on a date, you're also choosing the other person. And I think that, you know, sometimes we forget that, where it's like we're actually seeing if they're a good fit for us, not just how much they're going to schmooze me. It's like, are they actually a good fit? And I feel like one of the good things, or what is so impressive about you, is that if it's not a good fit, you don't get discouraged. You'll go on another date. You'll never kind of hold on to what was wrong about it, or you never try and make it a fit. You know what you want, and you're moving on to the next, and it doesn't slow you down at all. I think that's a great trait.
Yeah, I mean, I love living in my little Delulu land. Like, I know he's out there. I'm very confident about it. So if someone, like, I think the biggest thing I learned this year was if a guy says, I'm not ready for what you want, that instead of being, like, sad about it or feeling like it's a me thing, it's like, thank you.
yeah.
I don't want to convince anyone to be ready to date me or to want to hang out with me. Like, whoever I want. I think, like, security is something that's really important. And like, listening to what guys say. Because if they're, like, being upfront, like, don't try to think in your head, oh, like, let's just hang out a little bit more. Maybe you need more time. Like, they'll get to know me better. And it's like, it should be like a turnoff.
Yeah.
If someone says that to you.
Yeah. If you could put on paper your ideal man,
Ooh.
what would he be like?
I did this last night on a date, actually. It was
On
really
a date.
Wait, this was actually
Let me
really
tell you my
funny.
favorite man. It's not you, by the way, but let me tell you.
He asked me
who
my
it is.
non-negotiables, and every single one, he was like, I like this. This is a challenge. I don't meet any of that. I mean, I'm every one of your non-negotiables, but I
I
don't
think that
care.
entices the guy more. He's like, oh yeah.
I think it depends on the guy. I thought it was actually, like, attractive that he was, like, not, like, turned on by it, but he was like, okay, like, I'm gonna get you because
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. And I was like, that's kind of
Okay, so what were you telling him?
Okay, he was 6'7", and I have, like, my height thing is kind of like nothing over 6'4", because you can't, like, hold. I'm 5'2".
No one wants to break your neck.
It's so
it's
funny
just-
you're putting a cap on the height, because usually
He's
it's
like,
the
I've
other way
never
around.
heard this. Like, people usually think it's cool that I'm so tall. I'm like, well, we can't just kiss because you're so much taller than me. You can't hold hands normally.
So did you kiss? Was it weird?
Yeah.
You were like on tippy toes.
I was, like, in heels on my tippy toes. He was, like, bending down like he was, like, hugging, I don't know, a bear. And I felt like his nose was at, like, a weird angle. I don't know.
So is there a second date?
I thought he was, I was laughing the whole time, so I would probably see him again because he was just really funny.
Just have him sit down on a chair when you make out.
Exactly. That's what I said. I'm like, you have to I have to be, like, on, like, you have to be on the street and I have to be on the stoop, and then, like, you're kind of ish.
I thought you were going to say, I just have to be on top of you.
Or on your lap. I did do that once. I asked someone to sit down.
Okay, so what are some of
So
your
the
other
non-negotiable,
negotiables?
okay, the height thing isn't a non-negotiable. It's just a preference. Not an only child. He was an only child. What was that? There was, like, two. Oh, I said, like, youngest child. and then the height thing, and then there's one more thing I'm trying to remember now, but
What are the traits of an only child and a youngest child?
that I don't.
Yeah.
So I, again, want to say that there's outliers to everything.
Because I'm a youngest child.
I'm a youngest
Yeah,
child.
no, youngest is fine. Only is like,
I just say
again,
it took my
maybe
parents 4 tries to get it right. So
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with the youngest child. It's I'm the oldest. So my natural like way of being is to be a caregiver and to take charge and take care. And I was with an only child, and I think the dynamic is like it's not as even. Like he's very comfortable being taken care of, and I'm very comfortable giving care, but I want to be taken care of as well. I want the scale to be more even, and I feel like it's hard to get that with oldest youngest dynamic. Like I do well with like a middle child or an oldest. Even oldest sometimes I butt heads with a little bit. But if you're the youngest of 2, it doesn't count because you're not truly a youngest.
yeah.
You need a third to be a youngest child,
Yeah.
you know?
That's true.
Do you think it's an age thing as well in terms of taking care of someone, like with an age difference?
I was the same age, so no.
Yeah.
What are some of your icks? I guess I want to know both of your
Ooh.
guys' icks or
Yeah, and I want to hear your eggs.
a V-neck t-shirt.
Oh, that is a big.
Say,
I had to look to make sure he wasn't wearing it. No, I think definitely rudeness. Rudeness to me says a lot about somebody, and eye contact I think is very important. Somebody who can't hold eye contact. I think somebody who constantly talks about money and materialistic things that they have, where they place their self-worth in that, is a huge ick for me. Guys, I could have a long list. Guys who take bathroom mirror selfies in a bath towel, like, why?
We should write these down.
Oh, here's something. Don't go in my DMs if you're on private and you're holding a fish in your profile photo. Like, I don't know anything about you to respond. So I think guys who are shooting their shot in the DMs, go off private.
Yeah, agreed.
it's so funny because that guy's probably thinking, oh yeah, baby, she's going to see this fish photo.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know
turned
what.
on.
I've never seen fish photos until I moved to Miami. And I'm
There's
like,
so
what
many
the
fish
fuck
photos.
is this?
Like their boat and the fish.
They're like, I can't catch
You
a
can show
girl,
me a boat.
but I can catch a fish.
You know what I also have noticed on dating apps? All these guys, like the older 30 men, are all holding like little puppies as if they're babies. And that to me is an ick. I'm just like,
The little chihuahuas.
the little one, they're like, not having a small dog. It's just like, it seems like you're like overcompensating for having something to care for, and therefore you get yourself a dog and you want to like show that you're like can take care of something, but you like hold it as if it's your baby, and it's like, I don't know, that's an ick for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm practicing living in my feminine energy. That's hard for me.
Same.
I had my like energy read by a few people, and they all said that I'm way too masculine, and I'm like, sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like letting someone plan and like pausing before a door so that they have the time to open the door for me.
I love the example that you shared with us one time, how
Oh,
a guy
opening the door.
A
and
guy,
sitting.
he just got out of the car and you just sat in the car and you just
is
waited. He's like, are you coming? You go, well, the door's not open, so. And he goes, oh, and just run around the car.
You know, sometimes it's a good way to. And I also always try to like make sure one of my friends, if I'm talking to a guy and I know he's watching my story, I'll have one of my friends like in a Q&A send in a question of like, what do you like most about what guys do? And I'll like rate. I'm like, you should read this, take some notes. I did that once, and I was taken to like all the restaurants on my list. It was smart.
Yeah, I think during therapy, I was told, because I really struggle for anyone to spend money on me or buy anything. For me, I have the sense that I don't want to owe anyone anything. And I've, in therapy, learned that if a man wants to, let him. And I'm struggling with that.
And it goes both ways,
Yeah.
good and bad.
Yeah, it's just, I think I always am like, no, I got it. Like, for instance, we're leaving an event with our friends or together or the date, and I'm like, oh, I'll get the Uber. And it's, you know, I'm very quick to be like, I've got it. I'm okay. I'm independent, where I'm learning to slowly take back and let someone, if they want to, without arguing them on or fighting them for who's paying the Uber or things like that.
I agree with that. That's
If
hard.
you're on a first date, also I just noticed you're wearing Joe Stone Crab, which is very
Favorite.
Miami.
Favorite place. I spent Christmas Day there.
I love that. The food
love
is
that.
so good.
Okay,
So
so if you're on, both of you on a first date, would you expect the guy to pay? Would you let him pay?
I'd let him pay. I wouldn't expect him to. I wouldn't think less of him if we went to split it at all.
That's sweet.
It's interesting though because
I'm happy if I will offer, and if you ask me to split, I did do that once.
I mean, we'll all of us should at least reach.
But
oh, I'm just fumbling around here.
I like usually I'll start going, and it depends on how the date is. Sometimes I will, and sometimes I'm like, thank you so much.
It's interesting though because I was
I don't
asking.
go on many first dates, so I haven't been in this predicament often.
That's true.
One of my girlfriends, though, she was saying how she went on a first date and they were vibing. They had such a good time. Towards the end, the guy asked to split the bill, and her perception of that was that he wasn't into her. And so she got very discouraged because she's like, oh, well, I had an amazing time. He obviously had an awful time, and this is just friends because we're splitting it. And she was very confused by the situation. So I think sometimes culturally there is a perception
Yeah.
But in
that
what culture is it to split?
Australian.
Oh.
Yeah. I think some men might be testing a girl. He might not be into the
But
girl.
it's also a test for the guy.
I will say I have, when in my younger years, been very afraid when a guy takes you out to a restaurant and it's a very fancy restaurant and you're like, if this guy goes to split the bill, my card is declining. I'm going to fake an injury or an illness or something to try and get out of this. And the whole time you're just paranoid of like, oh my God, what if he makes me split this? I can't afford this.
Try and get the cheapest thing on the menu.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
I know.
Yeah.
Never
Oh my
happened.
God. Okay.
Card has not declined on a date.
Yeah, but still the fear. No, I think if someone's taking you to a nice place, like you expect that they're paying for it.
Yeah, I think.
If they're asking you to go there, if you plan it, that's one thing.
Yeah, I did have a girlfriend who was taken to a very fancy restaurant, ordered very expensive steak and everything. And the guy did I forgot my wallet. And she's like, I don't have this amount of money in my account. So she was like, no worries, I'll get it. I'll just go to run to the bathroom. Had to call her friend to Venmo her. And then
use Apple Pay.
So this is the thing. She walks out and she did it on Apple Pay. And then she kind of stopped and thought to herself and goes, why don't you have Apple Pay? And he was like, oh, no, my phone went flat. And she's like, you just ordered an Uber.
God.
And he didn't bring it. And it was really weird.
So he wanted a nice
Suspicious.
free meal.
I think so.
Damn.
Yeah, well, he hustled.
Yeah.
I guess as a
terrible.
guy, dating in New York would be quite an expensive.
Oh, yeah.
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 And sometimes, I feel for guys. Sometimes they're not just taking out the girl, they're taking out her friends. Mm-hmm. And some of those group of girls expect the guy to pay for the whole group of girls.
I don't think that's fair. I don't like that.
That is so not fair. But it does happen. I see it happen all the time.
Yeah.
And some guys do it to impress the entire, group.
I get doing that on the first meeting, but I feel like after it's not necessary.
No,
But I know that girls get a complex about it.
definitely.
If their boyfriend has enough money to be able to do that. I'm like, well, if you're having a small 3-person dinner and you shared everything, maybe covering your portion.
Yeah.
But still, I don't think you should ever expect that.
I don't think you should expect it. What is the most expensive gift a guy's gotten you?
Probably nothing. I'm trying to think. No.
Nothing?
I think this is really fun. This guy, I can't say too much. Basically, I went out with him and now he's dating a different influencer and it just makes me laugh inside. But he did buy me for Valentine's Day one of those it was $500 a Venus, a floor, however you say it, rose situation.
Oh.
I've never had any men buy me things. My ex-boyfriend, yeah, nothing to say there. And then before that, I never had anyone that I dated that bought me things.
I know. So let's kind of get into it. For those that don't know, you and your family on a Netflix series, My Unorthodox Life, which kind of showcases, I guess, family coming out of the Orthodox Jewish community. And how was that experience for you? I know we have personally talked about this, and both coming from religious backgrounds and the impact it has on us now and our journey through religion and community. I know from watching from watching your show, you were kind of one of the ones in your family to be the last, I would say, to really exit that community in a sense. Mm-hmm. How was that for you?
I think I had like a very unique experience because my family was leaving. So like I had my mom and my dad on each kind of like sides of the spectrum. My dad not like super far as when I grew up, but like still like fully religious. So I had like the opportunity to look at it from both sides, and no one was like pulling me any direction. I was like adult enough and old enough to like sit there and think about it, like what I want for myself. And I also was doing this with my ex-husband. So whatever decisions I was thinking, it wasn't just like what I wanted, it was what he wanted as well. So I think that's why it took like longer for me to leave that lifestyle, and then until I was like divorced to like fully live the life I wanted to live, because for a long time I lived it based on what he was comfortable with as well.
Do you think by being brought up in a religious community and household, do you feel like you got a lot of morals and good things from religion and community?
Yeah, I think like what I would want to take away from like when I raise my kids is like there's something bigger than yourself. Whether I'll probably raise my kids with God, but like I don't know that I feel like I'm more like agnostic, like spiritual. But I think having kids being raised that there's like a higher power to themselves is just like a really nice like moral compass. If something's not going your way, you have like, oh, but I can like pray or whatever that looks like to you. I think that's nice. And then like the family aspect of it. Like I'm not interested in, I think it's more like heritage over religion to me. Like culturally, I'm very Jewish, but I'm not religiously Jewish at all.
Yeah.
How do you feel as a woman? A lot of, I guess, the way you were brought up, there's dynamics between the man and the woman. When you were divorced and on your own journey, did you have to reignite the way that you feel about your own body and your confidence and sexual interactions as well, kind of being confident with that? What was that journey like?
I think for like as a woman, my mom like raised me as an independent woman. So I never had that like my ex would always like do most of the household stuff, like, because I really didn't like it, and like I did things in other ways. So I never had like the classic like religious relationship where I was like the homemaker and he wasn't. We had like a very, I guess, like modernized relationship. I'm thankful to my mom for like pushing that on me. And like, you know, I had friends who were like, my husband's a king and I serve him. And I was like, no.
Yeah, your mom's a
You can
boss.
serve me. I can serve you too. So I think that I was brought up with that, and that was like instilled in me. So I'm thankful for that. And then I think getting out after being with one person for my entire like any sexual experience I had was only with one person. So that was, I think, like intimidating at first, but then very freeing and fun.
Do you feel as though you would or would not date somebody who is in a religious community?
Absolutely not. I don't want to date anyone who's like remotely religious. To me,
Right.
that's like that would be a non-negotiable for me, because
Right.
I don't want to do it. And I've had guys be like, yeah, but I don't care if you, and I'm like, but I care that you do it, because I was brought up in such a strict home or like childhood that I made the decision to not include that in my life, and therefore it's not something I'm willing to compromise on.
Yeah, fair. Is there certain things that you've learned about yourself coming into your own that you didn't really learn about yourself or realize about yourself while still being religious?
I don't know about the religious. I think like more like being single.
Single.
Yeah, like on my own. I think like I used to be so, like, I remember when I was, like, thinking about getting divorced, like, the thought of going to, like, a party or a family event or, like, any friend function by myself was, like, terrifying.
Yeah.
Because I was, like, I just, like, always had a person to, like, be with. When I was younger, I would, like, stand next to my mom. I'm not shy at all, but I'm not outgoing by nature. I, like, have to make myself be outgoing. So I think, like, that has been very rewarding to, like, go to a Thanksgiving meal or even to, like, a friend's birthday by myself and, like, be totally confident and good. Doing that is, I think, something I learned a lot about myself, and just anyone who's, like, coming out of a relationship when you're growing up with someone. I feel like you like lack independence a lot.
Totally, because you're in a partnership for so long. I think that's really impressive, though, that you did spend the time kind of finding yourself and not just falling into relationship, because that's kind of usually an easy way out when you're used to constantly having someone there.
Yeah, I thought that I would. I, like, put, like, a time limit on how long I had to be single. I really thought I would jump back into a relationship, but I think going through a divorce was, like, the hardest thing I've ever done. So, like, I'm not gonna, like, put myself in a situation like that again unless, like, I really think there could be something.
Going back into dating after being divorced, after coming out of basically a religious background. I come from a religious background as well. My dad was a Christian pastor for a very long time, and I think at some extent I still do struggle with sometimes feeling guilt within dating, that there's still I still have a relationship with religion, and I still definitely hold my morals thanks to religion and things like that. And my dad taught me that you can have your own personal relationship with God. It doesn't have to be through the church. But I still struggle when I'm dating with guilt sometimes, and then again, I kind of go, well, no. Do you go through that having been in such a strong community?
No, surprisingly not. Like, my brother deals with that a lot more. Like, he doesn't date as often. Like, dating scares him, like, the intensity of it all, or, like, how... I think, like, not that he necessarily, like, a similar, like, conversation, like, in your head, but I don't know. I haven't had that experience.
What type of guilt? Sexual interactions?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, sex before marriage. It's also finding somebody who's aligned with you in beliefs and things like that. But it's at times where society-wise, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, but how I've been raised.
Yeah.
There's times where you question.
It's ingrained in you.
It's ingrained in you, and you feel guilt, and you feel, I guess, sinful. And it's a conversation I think that I just would never have with my family currently on my personal life. And I think I don't share my dating life at all with my family in a sense. Like, they might see that I might be dating somebody, but we don't talk about sex. We don't talk about anything like that. To my knowledge, I might be a virgin to my parents. So,
and you are.
Bless.
I am. And all my three siblings kind of, I would say, strayed from religion and very quickly went back to it, full throttle. And I think I'm the one who's always maintained faith in God and a relationship with God, but had a tug and pull with it, where there were times, I would say, God and religion really pulled me through things, and there were times where I felt very unheard and very, I guess, not uncared for, but misunderstood because of religion as well. So there's always a tug and pull. And I think as I'm getting older, I'm just realizing that it's my own personal journey. But I feel there's definitely conversations I personally can never have with my family because of judgment. Not that I know they love me.
My family's different. My mom is like, as sex positive as you can get. Like, she talks about it in front of everybody, my friends, my sibling. It doesn't really matter. So, like, I was brought up that, like, not brought up, but in my adulthood, my mom was very, very open. And even when I got married, like, we didn't really talk about sex. My mom, like, sat down, and, like, when I had a question, I would call her and like I would tell my friends like this is what my mom told me because like none of their moms would talk to them about sex.
Yeah, no,
so,
mine's very different. I think the biggest sexual conversation I ever had with my parents, this is so embarrassing. Do you remember MSN days where you'd go on MSN and you'd chat on MSN chat? Mm-hmm. So I was a very innocent person. I don't even think I'd kind of kissed a boy at this point, but there was an older boy in school who predatory was trying to message me on MSN and asked me a question where he goes, have you ever had an orgasm? I didn't know what an orgasm was, never heard of it. And I went, of course, and walked straight up to my mum and went, hey, Mum, what's an orgasm? Now imagine a pastor's wife choking on her morning coffee. And she's like, where did you learn that word? I was like, no, just someone asked me if I knew what it was.
So good.
And she's like, who? And I'm like, never mind. What is it? And she sat me down. And I was like, uh-oh. And she goes, Monika, when a husband, and not even a man and a woman, when a husband and a wife love each other dearly, it's when they create a feeling together that is euphoric.
That's beautiful.
That's actually a really good description.
Never mind. I don't want to continue this conversation ever again. And I don't think we've ever spoken about anything sexual since.
That's why I find kids so funny, just saying the most rogue stuff.
I learned what an orgasm was in camp. I was like probably 16. So I was like really, really, really sheltered. And my friend's like, an orgasm. I was like, oh, you mean an organism?
Exactly.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what that is.
And he's like, I'm like, yeah, I learned about that in school too. No.
My mom reminded me when I visited Australia last summer, she goes, oh, but do you remember when you were 13 and we were in the car and out of nowhere I just said to my mum, you know what, Mum? I'm going to have sex when I'm 16 years old. She was like, what? I go, yep, I've decided that's the age. She goes, honey, that's not actually what determines why you would have sex. I go, it is. It's an age thing. And 16 sounds like the most appropriate age. She goes, no. It's when you're in love and, you know, you meet someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And I was like, that sounds so nice, but I'm going to be 16. And she just had a heart attack.
Do you find, because you are so public with your dating life and you, I guess, recount some of your experiences online, do you think that some guys seek out to date you in hopes to be talked about? Or do you think some guys avoid you?
I think avoid more.
Yeah.
I have to like sit down and have a conversation if I start to like someone and be like, I will be posting single content that doesn't reflect how I currently feel until I'm actually, like, dating you. So you have to, like, and I have to, like, sometimes remind them, like, this experience is just content.
Yeah.
And I try to, like, sometimes post that on my story, too. Like, I'm just inspired by, like, a sound or a trend, and I'll think about something relatable that could have happened, like, 5 months ago.
Yeah.
But my ex-boyfriend was honestly, like, got it. So there's some people who are open.
How would you feel if a guy was to, I guess, do that to you?
Oh, fuck no. Absolutely not.
Could you date a guy who is also an influencer or big on social media?
I don't want to say never, but I don't see. I want someone private.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like a misconception to like understanding that whatever, I don't share everything. And where I think some people think they know like everything about me. And I'm like, no, you get like little glimpses of things I choose to share that I think will be relatable or something along those lines. And I try also, if I'm like recounting a story, it's from like a year ago. Yeah. So like the person is probably not going to hear about it. Unless I'm saying like this guy ended things with me and I'm sad. He knows. But
do you ever go on a date and a guy is forthcoming with that he's watched your TV show? Is that unattractive to you, or you don't really mind?
If like they feel the need to say it, that's fine. I'll never bring it up on a first date because I don't feel like it's necessary. A lot of times they'll have like, I know you have a show, but I haven't watched it. Like, I hope that's okay. And I'm like, no, that's what I prefer. Yeah. Don't worry. Like, actually, please don't watch it. But I feel like sometimes they like feel the need if they know. But a lot of times they like, if it's a dating app where I meet them out, like there's no, unless they see my Instagram, they probably don't know about it.
Yeah. And do you find at all with, I guess, the community that you kind of exited, do you feel as though people approach you on the street or in your day-to-day life and feel like they have something to say to you, whether it be positive or negative?
I think people, for the most part, whoever comes up to me in person is always nice. It's weird. Like, people are terrible in comments and DMs, but coming up to someone's face and being rude, I think rarely happens.
How do you deal with all that negativity that is kind of shoved your way?
I think I've developed a really thick skin. Like, there are times that it would like certain things would like get me down, but now if I like see something that like I see that the comments are like starting to veer in a negative way, like I just don't look.
Yeah.
I have like a lot of self-control to not look. I have like every block that I can to like avoid like negativity, but of course like people shit on me all the time, and I'm just like, it's nice for you to hide behind your keyboard, type all these things. Like, you're obviously miserable, because like I would never dream. I can think something shitty about someone in my head, but I would never like dream of writing it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like a horrible thing.
There are definitely people who don't actually think or care about what they're writing, but they get off on the reaction where there are these professional trolls that will go on and leave a comment somewhere and be like, just wait for everyone to come at me, and they get off on it. And I think the best way to deal with trolls is just, I know a lot of people, you have people in the comments defending you, celebrities, everyone, they'll have their fans and everyone defend you. I think the best way to deal with a troll is just zero interaction.
Yeah,
they feed off of it.
I agree. I never respond to comments.
Neither. For years, from dating certain people, have gotten certain fans of theirs that I guess just really want to go at you, and I've just never interacted once.
Yeah, I agree. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I feel like my only experience with that is when we kind of advertised we're doing this podcast together, then all of a sudden I get all Monica's trolls.
I was like, and she's responding to them.
I thought they were, I mean,
I was like, do not respond.
I've got like 4,000 followers. I don't get trolls. People are like, who are you?
I was like, it's been 8 years where I've been ignoring these people.
Then someone will be like, hey, Nikki, when's the podcast coming out? I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I'll let you know.
No, it is crazy. So I dated somebody. We never went public. We dated. It was a very serious relationship. Probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met today. I have nothing bad to say. We're doing long distance, and he was on a TV show and has a fan base where they really wanted, I guess, two characters on the show to be gay lovers. And they took that in, I guess, to real life wanting that. So anyone he dated, they classified as a beard. And so this community really ran with that I was a beard, although we never posted together, but they figure out where you are. They figure out everything. And it got so far that I had packages being sent to my apartment, but they wouldn't know what my apartment number was. They then sent packages to a Clark family in my hometown. It was the wrong family.
What's in the package?
It was white powder. I was like, don't open it. You never know. It's probably most innocent. But I did get detectives. We got private investigators. We located. There was one stalker was from Canada on an IP address in Canada. One was LA. I had some shop to my apartment. Oof. I had people sending to my modeling agency any free sample you could get on the internet. So diapers, pads, tampons, magazines, anything you could get for free. This still goes on. This still happens. And then they would sign up any email that I put out. They would sign it up to every single, I guess, spam mail that you could ever receive in life. So now I have
wild.
On my I'm running myself out here, but I have on my Instagram one that they think that they're just hounding. I never look at it. So
you've just got a stack of tampons in your bathroom. There's all these boxes.
But then on top of that, they would send to my agency or anywhere that I was working or anyone I was working with. They'd put the email and then that number of the work, and doctors would be calling, going, we're calling from Monika Clark for the gender surgery, and try and troll that way. And so like everyone now just knows of me. I get all these weird calls to my agency, to different things, and now we just laugh at it. Every week they're like, you got a new package, and I'm like, you guys knock yourself out. And the thing is, again, people do have the time to do this. I don't know how, but they get off on it. And the thing is, now I just find it funny. It's probably going to escalate once we start dropping all these episodes. But this is the thing. I think a lot of people in media, and the thing is, I'm such a tiny, small fish. I'm not well known. But it's just that I've gotten very passionate fans of other people that really kind of stalk your life, even though that person's exited my life for however many years. And there's so many celebrities and people, influencers that deal with this that never speak about it, because when you speak about it, it can escalate.
Right.
But have you had anyone try and either show up or send you something or...
The only thing that I could think of, not like anything, but someone sent me, and I don't think it's a fan. I don't know who, I really think it's this guy's ex-girlfriend that I was going out with because she was cuckoo. Wow. But someone sent me a book, How to Be an Adult in a Relationship, and like
So what did you learn?
I threw it out. I was like, I don't know what's in here, where it's from. It was weird. I was just like, I'm like, who would send me this? And I asked everyone, and I really think it's this guy's ex-girlfriend.
I mean, checks out.
That is crazy. When I first moved to LA, speaking of crazy exes, I was living in the back house. So basically, I didn't know anyone. I had a friend of a friend who had a family friend who was living in LA, and she was living with her boyfriend who was a cosmetic surgeon, so stereotype of LA. And they had a back house that I was living at, long driveway leading to the back house. Over the course of a couple of weeks, this girl would park her car kind of in front of the back house down the long driveway, and it would have all these scratch marks around the car. And she kept on coming out. She's like, Nikki, have you seen anything? I was like, no, this is so crazy. So she went to the police. The police said, put a no trespassing sign on your front garage so that if someone does come through, you can actually account them liable, because if you don't have the sign, you can't do that. Anyway, so she put up the signs, scratches kept on getting more hectic. She's like, this is insane. So she got one of those deer cams and put it near the back house, overlooking the car spot, covered it with leaves, and it just kept on tracking every night. She watched it after a week or so, and all of a sudden she sees this woman in the video. She's like, wait, what? Kind of zooms in. This lady in this hoodie is walking down the driveway laughing to herself. She gets out this pocket knife and is scratching around my friend's car. And she's looking at this woman. She's like, do I know this person? Like, this is so insane. Her boyfriend comes in. He also zooms in, looks at her face under the hoodie, just gasps. He's like, oh my God, I dated this woman 3 years ago. This is insane. So they took the footage to the police station. She lived in Santa Monica. We were in West Hollywood. It's a decent drive. Police rock up to her apartment. As soon as they walk in, she breaks down, starts crying, confessing to everything. She was like, I followed this woman for 8 months. I followed her to yoga. I was assessing her entire life because I don't understand what she has and that I don't. The fact that this guy allowed her to move in with him. This is 3 years later.
Oh my God.
And she's watching all of the women that he's dating. She's like, I just wanted to know all about her life, like what she does, what she has. And she was dating another guy at the time, and she had been observing this guy's movements for 3 years.
You don't know,
like, put
it's not who
away?
you're dating, let alone who they've dated.
That's so,
Yeah,
that is very fascinating.
What's your worst dating story?
Yeah.
like worst date?
Yeah, or just any story regarding dating.
I feel like the guy, it's not like the worst date. Well, I've been stood up. You guys were there for that.
Yeah.
Good times. But I think when I went on a date with this guy, and like the minute I met him, I knew I was not interested. So when we sat down, I said like, oh, I have a really early morning tomorrow, just like meaning I'm going to have to cut out early. So he has 2 drinks. I have 1 drink. It's like at the 45-minute mark. I'm like, okay, I've given him 45 minutes. That's like a decent amount of time. I asked for the check. And like whenever I ask for a check to end a date early, like I always am very happy to pay half it, but I do offer. And this guy, he was like, I had such a nice time. Can I walk you home? Because he knew I lived in the area. And I was like, no, I don't really feel comfortable with like guys walking me home on a first date. Like obviously I don't care if I like you, but so he's like, okay, I'll walk you part way. And I'm like, okay, like didn't take the hint. So we get to a main road and I'm like, okay, like so nice to meet you, thank you, lean in for a hug. And he's like, I'm gonna kiss you. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I never understand when men do that. Like never, if you have to state something, then don't do it. Say goodbye. And The next day, he texted me, like, had such a nice time. I would love to take you out again. And I sent him my very nice, like, thank you so much for taking me out. I had such a nice time meeting you. I think we're looking for different things. And he responds with, fuck you.
Yeah, I've had that.
If you're really looking for something, then you would give me another chance. It was a Monday night. I was having an off night.
The audacity.
I just also don't understand what goes through a man's mind to think, oh, she's going to change her mind after that.
Oh, and then he followed up like 10 minutes later. He's like, this is my holy grail. I'm giving you one last opportunity to say yes to the date and give me a chance.
Wowza.
Yeah, wowza.
Wow.
So yeah, it wasn't actual on the date. It was just like not it. But the after, I was just like, holy shit.
Do you think that guys, especially in New York, because the ratio is so off, they have kind of an unbalanced confidence going into these dates because they feel like they have the upper hand because, say, they're somewhat successful, somewhat good looking, they know they're in high demand in New York for women. Like, what, I guess I was trying to understand, what is that rationale that he has that he feels he can say that?
I have no idea. Sometimes I want to do like a PSA, you know, and be like, listen, I'm never going to see you, but you shouldn't do that. Or the guys who are like on a dating app, like, what's your Instagram? Like, don't ask me for my Instagram. Like, not interested in being Instagram buddies. Or like, you know, pen pals. I feel like sometimes I kind of wish I could like be to them. Listen, I'm not going to see you because you're acting this way, but just so you know, just don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have a lot more success. I have no idea. I think they're a little cuckoo and weren't raised well.
What's that Facebook page that women
have we dated the same man?
Yeah. I don't like that. I think it's funny to read, but I feel like I wouldn't trust someone's personal experience.
No,
unless
of course, because there's a
bad.
lot of scorned women out there, and I think men are an easy target. And I think at the end of the day, as much as we laugh and talk about all our dating experiences and how crazy men are, there's so many amazing guys out there, and there's so many. I'm like blanking, but I was like gonna go. There's so many amazing guys out there.
Are there?
No, there are.
So there's so many amazing guys, and there's definitely gentlemen, and I know a lot of my guy friends as well. Some are definitely in their fuckboy phase, and they're very open with that, and it's very obvious. And then there's just guys who are coming into really being ready to finding someone special, and really going about dating differently and being intentional with dating and actually trying. You know, I just had a conversation the other day with a guy that I kind of was going on dates with and stuff, and I just kind of came out with right now I just don't have a lot of time to give someone because I don't. And he basically was, you know, I tried to approach this differently, where in the past I've dated multiple girls at once, and it always led to issues within the relationship eventually when I got official with someone, where he's like, I didn't want to do that here. I wanted to do it right. And I was like, don't.
Nice.
Exactly. I have so much respect for that. And I said, don't change that for anyone. You should definitely do that. I'm at a place I don't want to feel like I'm disappointing somebody by not having enough time or the time that you're wanting from someone, because
I think that's a really mature dynamic.
It's honest.
It's so honest, but what I'm saying is I think guys do eventually get to a point where going, what I've been doing isn't working. And when they do find a girl kind of worth approaching differently, they will approach it differently.
No, I agree with that. I think it's like, I think it's like there is a switch. Like, you know, like the yellow cab theory.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's true. Like, if you catch someone when they're in their green light, like, it doesn't necessarily, it could have been like you would have worked out at, you know, in some capacity at some point, but they have to be ready and want it.
There's a couple of theories that I find interesting, and one is where they talk about basically the man with the taxi light, where a guy can all of a sudden be ready to settle down and he'll mistake the very next girl that comes into his life as the one, because he mistakes that he's in that feeling because of her, not actually because he got there himself. And that usually that relationship doesn't work out, because eventually he'll be like, she was the first one that came around. But for the beginning, they do mistake that as being the one. And then the other kind of theory that I just started learning was when a woman needs to be the black cat and the man needs to be the golden retriever, because women don't want to feel like they're fighting for a relationship, where men are more inclined to, because society has taught them. So it basically goes into, I guess, all these celebrity couples where they're like, she's, you know, a black cat and he's her golden retriever, and that's why it works. But you can have the same girl date somebody else and the guy's a black cat and she's a golden retriever, and it doesn't work. And I'm finding that very interesting too. I think there's something behind that.
I think that's what we need to remind ourselves. It's like everyone's on their own timeline and journey of feeling ready.
Yeah, and I think, like, that's why I think it depends. Like, you know, they say they always come back. I think if you were dating someone and that was the situation, like, if they came back and they, like, worked on themselves and they felt like they were ready, I feel like that's a good opportunity to try again with someone, whereas someone else who comes back because they were, you know, things weren't working, it's just like a timeline thing. Like, I do think there could be right person, wrong time. I don't like believe in, not that I've seen that happen, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's also, as much as we talk about men being ready, I think women, I will talk personally, I went through a phase, I would say you guys saw it for a good year and a half, where I wasn't ready to date. And although I'd meet some guy here or there that I got on really well with, I was just really shut down. And so any of those encounters were just, nothing was ever going to transpire from it, because as much as I thought that person was great, I was just so shut down. And it wasn't until I got myself to a really good place where now I look back and be like, damn, I like wish I met him now, because it would be such a different dynamic, where before I was just like a scared.
You're the black cat that was running around the dark alleys away from these dogs. All the dogs just waiting, where'd she go?
I was like, leave me alone.
But I do agree with that. I feel like people don't talk about that enough. Like, girls go through, like, a fuck girl era as well, where you're not looking for anything serious or you're not emotionally available. Even though maybe you want to connect with someone.
Oh, I didn't. I was like, don't touch me. Leave me alone. I was
You
very
didn't
much.
even want, you didn't go
I
on.
didn't go on a date for a year and a half.
Yeah. Okay, so that I never experienced.
By the way, our guy friends were like, Monika, stop telling people that. And I was like, it's not because I didn't have options.
Yeah, I think people
chose
know you
not
had
to.
options.
It's like, guys don't find that attractive. It's like, calm down. But yeah, I think people don't talk about that as well, that, you know, a lot of people, when they see a woman at a certain age and like, oh, why is she still single? There must be something wrong with her. I believe that it's one of two, where it's somebody who is healing or somebody who is so secure in herself that she knows what she wants and she doesn't need to settle for it. And I think that that's a good reason for anyone to be single.
Absolutely.
So we're coming out with this season 3, is it, for Orthodox?
Hopefully. I can't say anything. But we are filming a different show now. That will be out soon.
Are we able to ask questions, or is that under wraps?
All I can say is that, it's only going to be on a different major network.
I'm so excited. That's so exciting.
I love that. So have you filmed that already, or you're filming?
Filming.
Okay. And a question, I guess, for all the guys out there wondering, how does a guy approach you? How does a guy get a date with you? What should he do if he sees you out and about?
If he sees me out and about, come say hi. Be a man. Walk over to me. Show some confidence.
All right. If he's to slide in the DMs.
Make sure your account is public.
That's a start.
I don't look at anyone's account who...
Yeah. What should he slide in with?
Okay. I don't know if I should say this here, but I will. I'm giving away my secret. But this guy slid into my DMs. The only, maybe, the third DMs, date I've ever been on. And I went on, in the beginning when I was first single, 2, and I was like, never again am I going to do this. But this guy hit me with, apparently we'd hit it off. And so that makes you think, oh, we know each other, or someone we know thinks we would be good together. So you let your guard down. You're like, oh, who said that? And then you
why?
can just, and why? And you can just be like, meet me and see. So I did that. I decided to take this guy's, the line he played on me, and I thought it was really smart. So I did that, and then I was seeing a guy for a few weeks because I slid in with apparently we'd hit it off, and he said, well, on him, he said, I'm willing to test that theory. So good for him.
Oh, I
for
love that.
taking
I also love that
initiative.
you're going into guys' DMs.
Well, I decided that I was taking a break from apps, and I was like, but let me just see. So I went on, this is also smart if you want to slide in, girls. Look at your friend's boyfriend's friends. Like, look at who he follows. And then slide into those guys. Because, like, if this guy that your friend's dating is cool, then he probably knows cool people. Not cool as in, you understand.
Wait, so the guy that you're sliding into his friend's DMs?
No. I got the guy who I'm interested from looking at my friend's boyfriend's friends.
Got you.
Warm intro.
A girlfriend of mine did that, where she went into a guy's friends list, found a guy, DM'd him. They ended up dating for a bit. So I guess that theory
it worked
does
for
work.
me.
I
Yeah.
feel like all my boyfriend's friends are girls. Like they're all female friendships.
So I can't
Not very
slide
much
in
to the
there,
table,
yeah.
dude.
But then
love
they're
that,
like
though.
somewhat vetted because like the person, if they follow them, like they probably know of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you saying apparently we'd hit it off. They're like, well, look, we have all these mutuals. Maybe we would hit it off.
Do they have to be in Miami? If someone was outside of Miami and wanted to kind of take you on a date
Yeah,
or do
so
whatever?
that's like most of the guys ended up being in LA. So it didn't help me that much.
Yeah,
but
right.
I just thought it was a fun experience.
Yeah, so
And
fun.
it was a good line.
Yeah, it
Love
was
that.
a good line.
Love it.
Honestly, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I honestly just personally always enjoy sitting down and talking with you, and we kind of exchange our stories just on life and everything. And I think not only one of the most kindest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And
And always the first to show up everywhere, which I think is the best.
You got your
You're very
first
on
today.
time. You're very conscious of people's time. You're very on time, and you're always stylish. You're always very happy, and very considerate of everyone. And it definitely shows in the way you conduct yourself. So, please stay single for a little longer because I always want to hear your
Live
stories.
vicariously through you.
Now I'm going to have fun relationship stories.
True.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a
know.
girls' trip to Miami.
Please.
Yeah.
I would
do
love
that.
that.
And then
Thank
you-
you for having me.
Of course. And we're excited for your new show, so keep us posted.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Tell us what it's about off.
Yeah. Thanks, Bart. Love ya.
Bye. Fun, guys.
Okay, what's the